Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Y&R Trends. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Sienna Bacall will threaten to bar Nick Newman from the club and deny that Mitch Bacall is Matt Clark. Claire Newman will feel totally changed and say she has no regrets after going crazy in bed with Holden Novak in Los Angeles. However, Claire will seem a little conflicted when she is by herself and thinks about Kyle. The photo that Kyle and Harrison Abbott took while dressed for Halloween will definitely cause Claire some distress. Claire will confide with Victoria Newman after summoning her mother to her suite. Claire will lament not spending Halloween with Harrison, but she will talk about all the wonderful things Holden has shown her in Los Angeles. Victoria won't see the need for that guilt, and will wonder if Claire is actually letting Harrison or Kyle down. Back in Genoa City on Monday's Y&R episode, Kyle will complain about Holden and express concern that he might never be able to make amends with Claire. When Kyle tells Jack Abbott that he plans to divulge Holden and Audra Charles's secret, Jack Abbott cautions that he may come across as hostile and jealous. Even if it means losing Claire forever, Kyle will feel obligated to tell her about Holden for her own safety. Sharon Newman will continue to reel when Matt Clark, who is thought to be dead, reappears in Los Angeles. Mitch will claim Sharon is wrong and instruct his bouncer to prevent her from entering the club. Sharon will return to the hospital if she doesn't make it back to the shadow room. Sharon will then let Nick know that Matt is still alive and going by Mitch. Given that Mitch is Sienna's husband, Nick will be interested in learning how Noah Newman is connected to all of this. Nick will believe Sharon's claims and want to see Matt for himself, so they'll return to the club. When the bouncer won't let the pair in, Nick will sneak in while Sharon distracts them. After that, Nick will have another chance to ask Sienna about Sharon's meeting with Mitch, also known as Matt Clark. Sienna will claim that she doesn't recognize the name and deny that her husband has an alias. Nick will see that Sienna is anxious and terrified, but she will threaten to bar him from the shadow room if he continues to question others. In the end, Nick will request that Sienna deliver a message on his behalf. Sienna will be instructed to let Mitch know that Nick Newman would want to meet with him as soon as he has some spare time. Even though Sienna told Nick that Mitch had left for the evening, Mitch would reemerge at the club and ask Sienna about their most recent conversation. Sienna would clarify that Noah's father, Nick Newman, was there and assert that Mitch was actually Matt Clark. Nick will accompany Sharon back outside and brief her on his talk with Sienna. Sharon and Nick will be able to tell that Sienna is uncomfortable and is concealing things, even though they won't be able to verify how much she knows about Mitch's actual identity. Nick will soon get ready to corner Matt for an unexpected confrontation, after deciding that the best course of action is to surprise him. Sharon rushes back to the hospital still shaking. Fearing that Nick will think she's crazy, she tells him that she saw Matt Clark. He informs her that he has been dead for a long time. As they sat down, she summarized what had just happened. They think he must be Sienna's husband, Mitch. Nick thinks Matt may have played a role in Noah's collision. It wouldn't be the first time someone went insane and made their life a nightmare. Nick has to confront this individual head-on, of course. Sharon Nick. The doorman won't let Sharon and Nick return to the shadow room, even if Nick offers a bribe. The Newman tries to get in touch with Sienna. When that fails, he persuades Sharon to show the bouncer a picture of Noah so he can enter covertly. As complicated falsehoods, hidden pasts, and forbidden passions push the Newman family and others around them into perilous emotional ground, the tension in Genoa City and Los Angeles reaches a fever pitch. Sienna Bacall, Tamara Braun, will not only dispute that Mitch Bacall, Roger Howarth, is Matt Clark, but she will also not waver in her resolve to defend her husband and her empire at the shadow room. Reminding Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, that she is loyal to Mitch and not the Newmans, she will threaten to permanently bar him from the club. However, Sienna's nerves will betray her under her icy exterior of assurance. Even while she denies the link, her shaking hands and darting eyes will convey a different message when Matt Clark's name is spoken. Nick's resolve to find out the truth will be fueled by every micro-expression and flicker of panic that crosses her face. After a memorable night of passion with Holden Novak, Nathan Owens, Claire Newman, Haley Aaron, will be going through her own emotional storm throughout the city. For the time being at least, their chemistry will be wild and unbridled, burning away all uncertainty. Claire will feel like a different person as she lies entangled in the sheets next to him, changed by their careless intimacy. She will tell herself that she has no regrets, not about giving in to the present or allowing herself to feel alive once more after experiencing so much uncertainty and heartache. But reality will return when Holden disappears into the shower, leaving her alone herself in the quiet of the hotel suite. Claire's eyes will land on her phone, and when she sees the adorable Halloween photo that Kyle Abbott, Michael Mueller, shared of himself and his son Harrison, Redding Munsell, both dressed in identical costumes, her heart will twist terribly. That straightforward picture will pierce her like a blade. All of Claire's happiness will abruptly fade. Her mind will be a conflict between guilt and desire as she sits there holding the phone. Her worries, her allegiances, and her moral compass had all been erased by Holden. However, that picture of Kyle and Harrison will serve as a reminder of her past and the effects of her decisions. It will compel her to consider whether her relationship with Holden is genuine love or merely a way to cope with the suffering of her broken existence in Genoa City. Uncomfortable, Claire will call her mother, Victoria Newman Amelia Heinley, and invite her to her suite. When Victoria gets there, she will know right away that her daughter is carrying a burden. Claire will talk candidly about her time in Los Angeles, the amazing things Holden has taught her, and how he has awoken aspects of her that she was unaware even existed. As she speaks, a shadow will appear behind her bright eyes. Claire will quietly admit, I can't stop thinking about Halloween. Harrison seems to be really content in that photo. I ought to have been present. Victoria will hold her daughter's hand tenderly and advise her not to torment herself over such a trivial matter. My dear, you're not letting anyone down. Harrison is aware of your concern for him. Warm but tough, Victoria will say. You've been through so much. You deserve to enjoy life again. Claire insists that Kyle and Harrison may interpret her absence as an indication that she has already moved on, but she is unable to let go of her guilt. That will lead Victoria to pose a crucial query. Is Claire truly heartbroken about Harrison, or is she lamenting her relationship with Kyle? Claire isn't quite prepared to respond, so the question will linger in the air. Kyle will be wallowing in his own agony back in Genoa City. He will complain to his father, Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, about how painful it is to watch Holden and Claire go. Dad, she's in LA with him. He will pace the Abbott living room and say, I'm living this glamorous new life while I'm here trying to figure out how to fix what's broken between us. Before giving Kyle some fatherly advice, Jack will listen to him attentively and tell him that pursuing someone out of jealousy might backfire. However, Kyle's anxiety will overwhelm him and prevent him from thinking clearly. Convinced that the only way to keep Claire safe is to divulge Holden and Audra Charles's, Zuleika Silver's secret, he will do so. Jack will warn him right away that this could backfire. He will caution, you'll come off as obsessive, even dangerous. Claire might never trust you again if she finds out what you're planning. But Kyle can't get rid of the suspicion that Holden is concealing something that could be harmful to Claire. Kyle will say, I don't care if she hates me for it. Jack will see the desperation in his son's eyes and understand that nothing will stop Kyle from pursuing Holden. If there's a chance she's in danger, I need to tell her the truth. Will Claire be saved by his obsession, or will she lose all faith in him? Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, will be plagued by a face she believes she would never see again while emotional storms rage in Genoa City and Los Angeles. She will storm into the hospital, pale and shaking, still reeling from her horrific experience. She would say to Nick, he's alive. Matt Clark is alive. Nick would shake his head and look at her in shock. That's not feasible, Sharon. Sharon will insist on recounting every aspect of her meeting with Mitch Bacall, including his voice, mannerisms, and the expression in his eyes, even though Matt has been dead for years. Nick, it's him. She will insist, tears welling up in her eyes. He's changed his name, but it's him. Nick will make an effort to remain logical, but his gut will tell him that Sharon is correct as she describes what transpired at the Shadow Room. After his return, Mitch, also known as Matt, has taken on a new persona and married Sienna. Even worse, Noah Newman, Lucas Adams, who has been collaborating closely with Sienna, may have already given him access to their family. When Nick realizes that his son might be in danger without even realizing it, he will experience a wave of fear. Nick and Sharon are determined to get answers, therefore they will go back to the Shadow Room. However, the strong bouncer at the door will obstruct their passage when they get there. The man won't let them in no matter what Nick says, even if he gives him a substantial bribe. He will mutter, "You're not on the list." Desperate, Sharon will beg him to let her talk to Mitch, but the bouncer won't budge. After that, Nick will act quickly and persuade Sharon to divert his attention while he enters covertly through a side door. Nick's heart will be racing as he moves discreetly through the shadow room's neon-lit, gloomy hallways. Despite his tense jaw, he will casually approach Sienna after spotting her behind the bar. He will draw closer and say, "Sienna, we need to talk about Mitch." Her eyes will flare with anxiety, but she will swiftly cover it up with a trained grin. "My spouse isn't present," she will calmly respond. Nick won't believe it for a second. "And I don't know who this Matt Clark person is you keep mentioning." He'll pick up on the tremble in her voice and the way her fingers cling to the counter's edge. "You're afraid," he will murmur. "You ought to be." Nick's pressure will cause Sienna to lose her cool. "I'll have you permanently banned if you don't stop harassing people in my club," she will yell. Nick will back off after realizing that he's pushing her too far, and that she knows a lot more than she's acknowledging. "Tell Mitch, tell Matt Clark, that Nick Newman wants to see him," he will finally say as he hands her a card. Tonight. Sienna's heart will rush as Nick turns to go. Mitch will emerge from a private hallway as soon as he leaves, his voice full of rage but his face shadowed. What was it that he desired? He will insist. Despite Sienna's best efforts, Mitch, or more accurately Matt, will be able to see right through her. She will mutter, "He said your name. Matt Clark." His face will briefly take on a sinister, menacing expression. Mitch will snarl. He doesn't know what he's dealing with. But he's going to find out. Nick will rejoin Sharon outside and tell her what transpired. Even though they won't have any evidence yet, they will both feel as though they've stirred up something dangerous. That Mitch is in fact Matt Clark, alive and planning something far more ambitious than they can fathom. Nick will say somberly, "He's nervous." Sienna is afraid. Sharon will nod, her anxiety mixed with resolve. Whatever they're hiding, it's about to blow wide open. After that, we must stop him before he harms anyone else. The shadow room will vibrate with secrets and fear as the night grows darker. With trembling hands, Sienna will pour herself a glass, wondering what she's got herself into. Torn between two men and two worlds, Claire will gaze at her phone in Los Angeles. Kyle is determined to expose Holden's deceit, and Nick will swear to defeat Matt Clark once and for all, even if it means going straight into the shadows. Kyle was sitting in a chair outside the room, his head buried in his hands. He had not rested. His eyes were bloodshot, and his shirt was crumpled. Time itself seemed to be reminding him of the harm he had caused, and every second that went by felt like a punishment. Kyle hardly looked up when Jack reappeared that morning with coffee. Jack put the cup down next to him and whispered, "You're still here. I didn't think you could handle it." Kyle massaged his temples. He said, "I can't leave her. Not after my actions. I must be present in case she needs anything." Jack lowered his voice and let out a heavy sigh. "I spoke with the physicians, Kyle. They claimed that a spontaneous miscarriage was almost brought on by the stress. That's how close it was," he said, his words landing like blows. Kyle's chest constricted with remorse as his eyes grew wide. Jack went on, "She could have died. Your temper could have cost you both her and your child in a single night." Kyle's voice broke as he said, "I know. I am aware, Dad. You don't need to express how I already feel. My heart feels as though it has been torn out. I have no idea who I was last night. I wasn't the one. It wasn't, I promise." His tone softened when Jack put a hand on his shoulder. "Son, it was you. It's the aspect of yourself that you've been ignoring, the guilt, envy, and rage. It's time to confront it before it ruins everything." Claire's room door creaked open at that precise moment. When the nurse emerged and adjusted her clipboard, both men looked up. "She's awake," she murmured. "However, I should caution you that she is not yet ready to speak with anyone. Mr. Abbott, especially you." Kyle's heart fell. "At least let me see her. For a moment only." The nurse paused, her face unreadable. "Finally," she murmured, "if she permits it," and then she vanished down the corridor. Standing on unsteady legs, Kyle swallowed hard. Jack shot him a sympathetic yet warning glance. Jack said, Don't push her. Go if she instructs you to. You've caused enough harm. Allow her to dictate the pace. With a mute nod, Kyle walked over to the door and opened it with a shaky hand. Claire appeared so frail inside that it nearly broke him. Her eyes were ringed with fatigue, and her golden hair was knotted. When he intervened, she didn't even raise her head. The quiet was broken by the monitor's steady beep. Fearful of getting too close, he stopped a few feet from her bed. "Claire," he said softly, his voice hoarse from lack of sleep. "I understand that you probably don't want to see me. However, I had to personally apologize to you. For everything, not just what I said. For not paying attention to you. For allowing my rage to rule me." He was unable to complete the phrase. For almost. Shame choked him as the term miscarriage stuck in his throat. At last, Claire gave him a disconnected, blank stare. She uttered the words, "You don't get to say that word," in a shaky yet piercing voice. "You are not allowed to discuss what nearly occurred as though it were a mistake for which you might provide an apology. Kyle, you almost cost me my baby." With tears welling up in his eyes, he nodded. "I am aware. And I will never be able to forgive myself for it." "Well," she responded icily, "because I don't think I will ever be able to." The word struck him more forcefully than a slap. His voice cracked as he took a trembling step closer. "Please, Claire. You must trust me. I didn't mean what I said. You would never be harmed by me. I simply lost my composure. I felt afraid. Furious. I believed you were attempting to ensnare me, and Are you trapped?" Her tone rose as she repeated, a mixture of pain and bewilderment in her voice. "Do you believe that I desired this? Do you really believe that my intention was to conceive in order to keep you? God, Kyle, you make love seem like a crime." Kyle's eyes fell to the ground. "I was mistaken," he muttered. "Everything I said was incorrect. That wasn't what you deserved. None of it was something you deserved." There was a long pause. Claire gazed at him, conflicted between anger and sadness. "You know what's the worst?" At last she spoke, her voice lower and quivering with emotion. "Even after you said those words, a part of me wanted to think you didn't mean them because I loved you so much. The man I loved was somehow buried beneath all of that rage. But all I could think was, you did this. When I was experiencing that agony and believed I was losing our child. This was done by your words." Kyle started crying uncontrollably. He uttered the desperate words, "I'll do anything to make it right. Counseling, therapy, whatever it takes. I'll alter. I'll get better. Please just don't entirely ignore me." Claire shook her head as tears welled up in her eyes as well. "Promises won't make this better. Apologies or flowers won't make this right." Her voice cracked as she turned her head away, saying, "What happened last night? Those words, they changed everything between us. At the moment, my only concern is keeping my infant safe. That's all. I am unable to think of us. I am unable to contemplate love. All I need is tranquility." Despite his broken heart, Kyle nodded. He muttered, "Then that's what you'll have. I'll give you room. As much as you require. Claire, though, I will remain here. Even if you don't want to see me again, I'll make sure you and the baby are taken care of." Kyle squinted his eyes. "Kane." "That's right," Jack remarked somberly. "And Phyllis. She will regret getting involved with this." Kane was performing his own damage control across town. When Lily first saw him at society, her face was taut with annoyance. "Kane, this is unbelievable. You claim to have locked down that system." "I did," he was adamant. "However, someone violated it. Victor Newman is now turning it into a weapon. Lily, I promise to make this right. Even if it's Phyllis, I'll track down whoever assisted him." Lily crossed her arms. "Kane, exercise caution. You're experimenting with flames." He gave a sinister grin. "Well, perhaps it's time to burn them all." Phyllis unexpectedly received an encrypted message back at the Grand Phoenix. "We are aware of what you sold." Her heartbeat quickened. "You can't hide forever." It was not Victor or Kane who sent that message. There was another person observing. Someone risky. In the meantime, Sharon was sitting next to Noah's bed in the hospital, whispering to her unconscious son, "Baby, come back to me." Nick stood in the corner, his eyes red from sleep deprivation, his jaw clenched. "Please. Detective Halpern entered through the creaking door. Mr. and Mrs. Newman, we discovered fresh security footage from the accident night, he continued, wiping his mouth. It may alter everything. Sharon stood up tall. What sort of video? Halpern paused. It depicts someone tampering with Noah's vehicle prior to the collision. Nick clenched his hands. Who? Halpern answered. We're still analyzing it, but the figure looks familiar. Sharon's phone buzzed before they could press him any harder. He's not the only one who ought to have perished that evening. A text message from an unidentified number appeared on the screen. Sharon felt her blood chill. Half expecting to see Matt Clark hiding in the shadows once more, she glanced around the room.